Welcome everyone, another episode of Financial 15. We have some great information today. Back to our original series, how to fund your retirement. We talked about annuities before, episode 1, now episode 2. We're looking at government pensions, CPP, OAS. How do you factor them in? How do you fund your retirement with those government pensions? Some great information. You want to stick around.
Yeah, continuing with our series, this is more about retirement. We did a little bit on personal stuff beforehand. Now we're getting into the government scenario. Now, if you want to see the previous video or anything else in this series, please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. We're more than happy to have you there, and you'll get lots of great content to take a look at. You can like us on Facebook as well, or most importantly, also visit our website. We've got tons of information, not only on this, but on a variety of different topics. Now, we have covered CPP and OAS beforehand in a variety of different videos. Please check those ones out because it's really going to help with what we're doing today. But today, we are dealing with funding your retirement, part of the series that we're dealing with. Clint, CPP and OAS, biggest government ones that we're going to deal with. Yeah. How do we take it?
Absolutely. And we have to start kind of step back. We did this last video, but it's important. Yep. Like you just mentioned, Kevin, we looked at that purple savings, that purple box there, the personal savings. Annuity was one of the options we talked about before. Now we're shifting our focus, trying to fund retirement. Where are the different sources of potential income? Now we're in the orange box, the government pensions. We will talk about all of them eventually as part of this series. But a reminder, we're looking at the different sources of income. And key here is we're shooting for a target. We're trying to get you the desired retirement income, which is the yellow circle at the bottom there, which means you have to have a pretty good idea of what that number is, right? You have to have an idea of a budget. What are we shooting for? What is that target retirement income? And then you can work backwards through all the different sources. So a quick reminder, that is important. Now we'll dive in to that orange box. We'll dive in to the sources of government income, looking at CPP and OAS. And we've done this before, but we'll cover it quickly here, Kevin. The CPP Basics. Take us through it.
Yeah, the basics are one of the ones. I mean, basically, it's a monthly taxable indexed retirement pension that you receive for life. It is a government pension that you're getting. Now, the amount you receive is based on the contributions that you've made, as well as the contributions made by your employer over the time frame that you've been working. And again, your contributions depend on your income. We want to update this for the 2022 numbers. It's 5.7% of your income, over 3,500 and up to 64,009 now is the numbers we're dealing with. So if you're an employee, you contribute your amount. But if you're self-employed, you have to contribute not only yours, but you also have to contribute the government portion as well, or the employer portion, as it were, which is 11.4% total. So those are some of the main basics that we've got off of what the basic rules are. Other than that, normal start age 65. We have, again, updated here what the maximum pension for 2022 is. We've done our previous videos that have 21 or previous. So you're now at $1,253.59, but that's not what the average monthly person gets. As we see at 65, it's about 702, about 500 less than what's going on. Now, if you collect and pass away, as we mentioned, there are spousal benefits. There's a child benefit and a flat benefit for them. And there's also a death benefit. So these are, again, we've ramped them up before. We've talked about them. Check out our other videos, but we did want to update you with what the specifics are for 2022.
Yeah, and the guys here is trying to, how do you fund your retirement with some of the government pensions? That's why we highlighted the numbers. What can you expect to get? And we'll go into this a little more detail, but maximum for 2022, that $1,250. The average, most people do not get the max when it comes to CPP. That's why the average is 65 is about $700. So about a $500 difference there between the maximum and the average. And a reminder, when you take the CPP, that can be a big question. You take it early, there's a bit of a penalty. You delay, you can get a bonus. We'll link to our video where we talk about exactly that, when to take your CPP. And then a reminder, there's lots of money in this program. You put money in, your employer puts money in, all of that gets invested. And as of September 30th, 2021, that over $540 billion in that program. So it's a very well-funded plan, lots of money set aside for CPP. So that's one source of the government pensions, the CPP, what to expect there, that $1,250 for the max. Most people don't get the max, the average closer to 700. Then OAS is the other one. CPP you pay into, old age security, you don't. Old age security, you pay taxes, and part of that tax revenue eventually finds its way into old age security. So we all pay for it indirectly. It is a monthly taxable program. It is fully indexed, and you will receive it for life. So there's certainly some positives there. It's not based on employment, not based on income. It's just based on residency. You live in Canada long enough, Kevin, they give you a pension. That's pretty much how this one works.
That's nice to have.
Yeah, similar to CPP, it starts at 65. You can't take this one early. You can delay it if you'd like. You can see some data there about the residency requirement. You have to be in Canada at least 10 years after the age of 18 to qualify. You get to 40 years after the age of 18 in Canada, you'll get the maximum amount. And old age security, most folks do get the max. That would be more common. So in terms of what you expect when it comes to funding retirement, I'd say you could probably expect the max for OAS if you've been in Canada long enough. That's the 642 per month at 65. Important to note, there is a clawback. So if you make over a threshold, right now that threshold is about 80,000, does change every year. But once you get over the threshold, they start taking some of your OAS back. We've done whole videos on how to try to avoid that. We'll link to that. But in terms of what to expect, how to fund the retirement, I'd say that 642 for most people would be the expectation. Would you agree, Kevin?
Yeah, and again, it's one of those ones, as we mentioned beforehand, you can't take it early, but you can delay it, and you get more bonus if you delay it till 70. There's an extra 36%. Again, assuming that you're not in that clawback scenario. So if you are, it really won't matter whether you delay or not, depending on how much is going to get back. There's also the guaranteed income supplement and a few other odds and ends. But you're right. I mean, the OAS scenario right there, that's one of the ones that we really have to take a look at as well. It is not based on income. It is based on residency. And again, so those two plans that we really have right now that the government does give us. So there is money that can come into you, and depending on how much you've either put away or how long you've lived here, you're going to get more and more. And also depending on the time frame that you take it at, 60, 65, or 70.
Yeah, now let's dive in a little deeper. How can people find their specific numbers? Because those are kind of general averages. We want to add a little more value here. So for CPP, that's the big one, because that will vary quite a bit from person to person, depending on your work history, what you've contributed. You can find out how much you've contributed. There is a CPP statement of contributions. You can request that from Services Canada. I would not suggest phoning. Well, hey, if you have a free afternoon and 4 hours to spend, you certainly can call. But a better option, perhaps, you can go to the My Service Canada account. That is set up through their government. You have to set it up, but once it's set up, you can access your tax information. You can access your CPP statement of contributions. You simply log in and you can get all that data. And it'll tell you right on there some estimates. I retire at 60. This is what I can expect from CPP. 65. This is what I can expect. So it goes back to the sources of income. It's giving you a good idea of what that government pension could look like in retirement. I'll go through a quick example here, but did you have anything you wanted to add, Kevin?
Yeah, basically, you're right. With the My Statement of Canada or the Service Canada scenario, you are better off going online nowadays, because the phone is basically the area where you're going to get caught in voicemail jail and you're sitting there for hours, and nobody really wants to do that one. So again, you are correct. And you do want to get these numbers, because it's nice to know what you've got for an exact number planning forward, because a lot of financial plans, have you worked enough? People really don't have that idea. So they're thinking that maybe I'm getting the max at 1,200 when maybe you're only getting 1,000. And if you want to take it earlier, there's going to be huge numbers to be able to deal with. So knowing your exact numbers is simple and easy nowadays by going online to do it. Just have to get to the right spot, correct?
Yeah, and that'll help you kind of fine-tune the retirement account, fine-tune the retirement plan. And there's also a great resource, which is free. And that's what I've pulled up here on the screen. This is from the Government of Canada, their website. It's actually an entire retirement income calculator. So it's not just CPP and OAS. We're going to use it today for that purpose, to show you how you can get an estimate of those figures. But you can plug in your employer account. You can plug in whether or not you want to work part-time. You can plug in your RSPs, TFSAs, and it'll incorporate all of that in an overall projection. So good resource to have. But for today, some general information. I'll scroll down here. We're going to say we're born in 1960 in March. You can see we have an income roughly of 80,000 before tax. And they're asking us if we think our life expectancy at 85 is a good estimate. I just hit yes. So we're going to assume that's the case. We'll move on to the next tab here. They also have them all at the top, so you can either go through one at a time. We'll jump to the ones we're looking at for today. That's CPP tab. So CPP, they ask for CPP or QPP. We're not in Quebec, so we're using the CPP option. They're asking if you have the statement of contributions. I'm saying no. If you have your exact figures, you can plug it in and make it even more detailed. But right now, we're going to say no. We have a drop-down box here asking about estimate. Do you want to use the average, or I can be a little more detailed and I can estimate based on expected earnings? That's the one I picked. So I get this drop-down tab here, and you can see it's broken down by ages, right? How much did you make on average between 18 and 24, 25 and 34, all the way up until your 60s, or right up until 61 to 69, actually, as the ages. And I plugged in the approximate figures. So this is a way you can be estimating it, but get a more accurate figures. And all right, early on I made a little less. Later in my years, I got to that maximum. I maintained it right up until retirement. and it'll use that information to give you an estimate. And of course, you have to pick when you want to start. I picked 65. You can pick any age that's appropriate for you. And then they also ask if you're going to be working after receiving CPP. There's an extra benefit. If you work after 65, you could get a little more CPP top up. But regardless, we do all that calculation. It gives us a number. You can see it right here. 14,928 is the estimate. I'll do the old age security tab as well. That one's a little more straightforward because there's about living in Canada based on residency. They ask you the question, you're going to live in Canada when you reach the age of 65. You've been in Canada for 40 years. And then when do you want to take your OAS? I filled those in quickly, and lo and behold, it assumes the maximum, which I think for most folks, like we talked about, you'll probably be at the maximum. That's a fair assumption, Kevin?
It is. I think that's an easy one. And again, with the CPP, of course, there are some years that you can eliminate depending on what's gone on. So it can get more involved the more that you want to put in. So it's always nice to have that sort of aspect. But again, when we come down to it, the final scenario that we're looking at, you go to the summary and it gives you exactly what we're looking for here. We've got our birth date. We've got our annual CPP. We've got what our OAS is. It's meeting what the annual goal retirement there is. But the main thing for these two that we wanted to point out was you can get specifically your Canada pension plan and your old age security just to find out what those numbers are. Of course, you can always add more in whenever you get that chance. And that's just going to give you a better scenario. And the other factor is it a free calculator that you can use? Because a lot of people don't know where to go to find some of these things. Go to the Government of Canada website. They will give you these numbers. And it's always nice to get a rough estimate, but it's still important to make sure that you've done a full financial plan going forward. Because again, these are just estimated numbers. They don't dive as deep as some others can.
Yeah, you need that full plan. This is kind of the quick version. You want to get a quick calculation. And they do have other programs on there, right? We only clicked on 2 of the tabs. We specifically focused on CPP and OAS for today's purpose, but you could go through all the others. So it's a great free resource to have to get an idea. And then if you have more questions, whether it's about your full plan, whether it's about CPP, or whether it's about OAS or any other financial topic, we're happy to help out. You can see bottom of the screen there, visit
Chat with Clinton and Kevin.
I should know this by now. Chatwithclintonkevin.com. Go to the site, fill in the form. We'd love to hear from you. I think that'll be it for today's video. Anything you want to add, Kevin?
Yeah, no, I think we've done a very good job in this. Remember, there are more videos that we have on CPP and OAS directly. Please check those ones out. That will help with everything that we've mentioned today.
Take care.